again, Booktube, it's Brittany and welcome to Under the Radar Books. Today I'm going to be doing a big book haul and I'm actually going to split it into two parts. So hopefully it won't be too unbearable. I hope it's not too long. I'll try to keep it short and just give little synopsises of each book. So the ones I'm going to start with are actually going to be the ones that probably most of you guys have heard of. And then my second video, part 2, will be about some lesser known books. So let's get started. First off, I have The Incarnations by Susan Barker. I first heard about this on Holly's channel, Library at the Edge of the World, and it is about reincarnation, about these two soulmates who find each other throughout time, and I think it jumps through different lifetimes, different time periods. It spans over 1,000 years, I believe. It just sounds so interesting. I love stories about reincarnation, and it's been compared to Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell, which I haven't read either, but they both sound right up my street, something I'm really gonna love. So I can't wait to get to this one, and if Holly loved it, I'm sure I will love it too. Also, isn't this cover beautiful? It wraps around to the back, and then look at these end papers. Isn't that gorgeous? I just think it's a beautiful book. Next up is called Girl Waits with Gun by Amy Stewart, and I first heard about this on the Book Riot podcast, and it is about a woman named Constance, and I believe this is back in like Wild West times, and her and her sisters move out to the country, and they actually get into an accident in their buggy, and it is with this factory owner, and when they start having arguments about who's going to pay for the damages, him and his gang of cronies, or whatever you want to call them, actually start, I believe, shooting at them and getting very violent. And so then Constance is actually asked by the sheriff to kind of seek revenge on these men. And so she actually starts to learn that she is really good at it, and she is quite talented at fighting crime, and I believe it's quite a feminist text, and that makes me really excited to read it, and I just think it sounds great. Another beautiful cover also. And if you haven't checked out the Book Riot podcast, you really should. There's a couple different ones, and they're all brilliant. You find such great book recommendations, where I find a lot of books that I get in my book hauls and that I want to read, so go check them out if you haven't yet. Next up is Radiance by Catherynne Valente, and this is the author of the Fairyland series, and I just read the first one this year and absolutely loved it. It is so much fun. The writing is beautiful, and if you haven't read it, go out and get it. You will love it. Even if you don't read children's books, I would highly, highly recommend it. This book is called Radiance, and it is a space opera, and it's about Catherynne is the main character, and her father is a movie director. And it talks about how she rebels against her father and starts making documentaries, and it just sounds brilliant. It sounds quirky and weird and just right up my street, so another one I'm very excited for. Next up is By Light We Knew Our Names by Anne Valente, and I first heard about this on Mercedes' channel, Mercy's Bookish Musings, and I will link all these booktubers I've mentioned down below, so if you haven't checked out their channels, please do. They're all great. This is a short story collection, and it is magical realism, which is my favorite kind of short stories. And the cover is beautiful. I know Mercedes, it's one of her favorite short story collections she's read this year. And it says, from midnight sirens to pink dolphins to a fight club of young women who meet beneath the aurora borealis, By Light We Knew Our Names examines the beauty and heartbreak of the world we live in and the one that hovers just beyond it. And that sounds great. Next up is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. And the reason why I picked this up is because me and my friend Joss over at Squibbles Reads are going to be doing a buddy read this month. And I haven't been reading a lot of YA recently, and so I'm really excited to get into this one. I think it's a great change of pace to kind of break up some difficult reading that I've been doing, and so I'm really excited to start this one. I know that the font's pretty big and the story's gonna be really fast-paced. The main character is Mare, and she is a red blood, and in this world, red bloods are just normal humans. They're like the lower class, whereas silver bloods have supernatural abilities, and they're like the upper class and royalty. And she actually learns that even though she's a red blood, she also has supernatural abilities. And I believe that her friend gets taken off to war or something like that, and she has to go use her abilities in order to save him. And this sounds really exciting and really fun, so can't wait to get this one started. Next up is Bats of the Republic, and I don't remember where I first heard of this. I know Sana just had it on her channel, Books and Quills, and it looked really interesting. It's a multimedia book, which I really, really enjoy. It has different things like book passages and notes and diagrams and all sorts of cool stuff. Maps, I don't know if you can see that, sorry. And I don't even know what it is about, but I found it for a really good price at a local used bookstore and I couldn't pass it up. It is in like brand new, perfect condition, and I'm really excited to get to it. Next up is Music for Wartime by Rebecca Makkai. She's the author of The Borrower, which is another book that I've really loved. I read it a couple years ago and I still think about it all the time. It's a great book, so if you haven't read it, go check it out. This is her newest book that's just been released. It's short stories, and I'm really excited to see what her short stories are like. She does a great job of writing really real characters and people that you can connect to. I believe this is just a really great short story collection. I've heard really good things about it, and so I can't wait to get to it. And the last one for this part 1 book haul is, no surprise, Ready Player One by Ernest, Cline, and I haven't read this yet, and I actually found it at a thrift store for a couple dollars. I was so excited to find it and I can't wait to read it. I'm sure all of you guys know what this is about, but if not, an alternate world where you're basically living in this virtual reality, and this teenage boy named Wade is obsessed with this video game, virtual reality game. The creator makes this big puzzle and whoever wins this huge prize. And so Wade starts figuring out the clues and he starts doing really well and wants to win the money, win this prize. And there's actually people who are willing to kill other people in order to win. And so he starts getting wrapped up in this dangerous game and it just sounds fantastic. I can't wait to read it. I've heard nothing but great things. So I'm really excited for this one. So please let me know if you guys have read any of these, if you want to read them, what you guys have been reading currently, if you've had a lot of book hauls recently. I've been going a little crazy in the book spending. I just really want to get chatting, and I love having conversations with all of you fellow book lovers. So please leave comments, and thank you so much for watching. Happy reading!